The massive screen in the United Earth Council chamber displayed the stern face of High Counselor Gray. His silver skin seemed to shimmer even through the transmission, and his four eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern as he stared down at the assembled human representatives. Ambassador James Walker stood at the central podium, his back straight, and his expression calm despite the weight of humanity's future resting on his shoulders. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the air-handling systems and the occasional shuffle of papers. "The terms are non-negotiable, Ambassador Walker," Gray's voice boomed through the chamber. "Earth, as a newly recognized spacefaring civilization, must pay its tribute. This is the way it has been for 10,000 years." Walker glanced at the data tablet in front of him, reviewing the Council's demands once again. They wanted rare Earth elements, particularly large quantities of neodymium and dysprosium. But more concerning was their demand for all of Earth's research into quantum field manipulation technology. "High Counselor," Walker spoke carefully, keeping his voice steady. "Earth acknowledges the Council's traditional requirements. However, the amount of materials requested would severely impact our industrial capabilities. Perhaps we could discuss a reduced quantity." Gray's upper eyes narrowed. "Ambassador, every civilization faces this same challenge. Those who comply prosper under the Council's protection. Those who resist." He left the threat hanging in the air. In the back of the chamber, General Linda Ross leaned over to whisper to Dr. Robert Thompson, Earth's leading physicist. "Is it just me, or are they specifically asking for everything we need for the new drive system?" Thompson nodded slightly, his eyes never leaving his data pad as he analyzed the Council's demands. Something wasn't adding up. "You have one standard month to begin tribute preparations," Gray continued. "Our collection vessels will arrive at that time. The Council expects full compliance." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the chamber in tense silence. Walker turned to face the assembled representatives. "Ladies and gentlemen, we need options." The next 12 hours were a blur of emergency meetings. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Earth's top leaders gathered to analyze the situation. Dr. Thompson projected a holographic display showing technological development curves of other Council member species. "Look at this pattern." He pointed to a series of graphs. Every civilization that joined the Council and paid tribute experienced the same thing. Their technological development plateaued almost immediately afterward. General Ross stepped forward. "It's not just coincidence. The materials they're demanding, they're exactly what we need for the breakthrough in our faster-than-light research." Walker rubbed his tired eyes. "So it's not just tribute, it's systematic suppression." "Exactly," Thompson agreed. "They're not taxing us. They're making sure we can't advance beyond our current level. The question is, why?" The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 2 years ago, and already they were facing forces trying to contain their progress. "We need more information," Walker finally said. "And we need to decide. Do we comply, or do we find another way?" General Ross straightened her uniform. "I have a thought. They expect us to either submit or openly rebel. But what if we did neither?" Walker raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "We give them what they want, or at least what they think they want. Meanwhile, we prepare. We hide our real resources, our real progress. We play the part of the compliant new species." Dr. Thompson's eyes lit up. "A deception play. It's risky, but it could work. We'd need to create convincing fake materials for the tribute." Walker looked around the room, seeing the mix of determination and concern on every face. Humanity had come too far to be stopped now. They'd reached the stars through innovation and determination, and they wouldn't let anyone take that away. "Very well," he said. "Let's put it to a vote. But remember, if we do this, there's no going back. We'll be deceiving the most powerful organization in known space." The vote was unanimous. As Walker looked at the results, he couldn't help but smile slightly. The Council thought they were dealing with just another young, compliant species, They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Humanity's response to the tribute demand was about to shake the foundations of galactic society. They just didn't know it yet. Dr. Anna Miller stared at her computer screen, her coffee long forgotten and cold beside her. The numbers didn't lie, but what they revealed was almost too incredible to believe. She had been studying the piece of council technology for weeks, a simple power regulator that every new member species received as a gift. "This can't be right," she muttered, running the analysis again. The lab around her was quiet at this late hour, most other scientists having gone home. The only sound was the soft hum of equipment and the occasional beep from her testing devices. The door opened, and Tom Reed from Military Intelligence walked in, his uniform slightly wrinkled from a long day of work. "Please tell me you found something. We're running out of time." Anna nodded, pulling up a holographic display. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a complex diagram. "The Council's power regulator isn't just inefficient, it's deliberately designed to waste energy in a very specific way." "What do you mean?" "It creates a type of quantum interference. Any civilization using this technology would find it almost impossible to develop better quantum field manipulation systems. They'd hit a wall every time." Tom leaned closer to the display, his eyes narrowing. "And quantum field manipulation is key to advancing our space travel technology." "Exactly." Anna stood up and walked to a larger screen on the wall. "But that's not all. I analyzed the mineral demands they made. Those specific rare earth elements, they're crucial for building better quantum sensors. Without them, we'd be blind to certain types of energy signatures." Tom's face darkened. Energy signatures like hidden ships or bases, or secret research facilities. Anna pulled up another set of data. "I found records of other civilizations' development patterns. Every single one that accepted council technology and paid tribute stopped advancing within 5 years. But look at this. There are gaps in the council's space monitoring network, places they don't watch as closely." The door opened again, and Ambassador Walker entered with General Ross. They looked tired but determined. "What did you find?" Walker asked, getting straight to the point. Anna quickly explained her discoveries. As she spoke, General Ross began pacing, her military mind already working on possibilities. "Those gaps in their monitoring network," Ross said, stopping suddenly. "Where are they exactly?" Anna highlighted several areas on a star map. "The biggest ones are near Jupiter's orbit, especially around Europa. There's another significant blind spot in Mars' orbital path, when it's on the far side of the Sun." Tom smiled for the first time that day. "Perfect hiding spots for research facilities. Places we could continue our work without them knowing." Walker nodded slowly. "How sure are you about all this, Dr. Miller?" "The evidence is clear," Anna replied, pulling up more data. "Look at these energy patterns. The Council isn't just collecting tribute. They're actively preventing technological advancement. They've created a system where younger species literally cannot progress beyond a certain point." "But we haven't installed their power regulators yet," Ross pointed out. "And we won't," Walker said firmly. "At least, not the real ones. Dr. Miller, how hard would it be to create fake versions? Ones that look correct to their scanners?" Anna thought for a moment. "With the data I've collected, give me a week. We can make duplicates that will fool their initial scans. They'll only spot the deception if they do a deep analysis, which would require them to take the devices back to their facilities." Tom pulled out his own datapad. "We've been watching their collection ships. They never take equipment back for analysis. They just scan it and move on. They're overconfident. Arrogant," Ross corrected. "They've been doing this so long, they don't expect resistance." Walker looked at each person in the room. "Then we have our starting point. Dr. Miller, you'll head up the technical deception. General Ross, begin looking at those blind spots for facility locations. Tom, I want everything you can find about their collection ship's scanning capabilities." As the others nodded and began discussing details, Anna turned back to her computer. Her discovery had just changed everything. The council thought they had created a perfect system of control, but they had never faced humanity before. And humanity had a long history of breaking out of cages, even ones they couldn't see. The real question was, how would the council react when they finally realized what was happening? The underground command center buzzed with activity. Large screens covered the walls, showing various space stations and ships under construction. Captain Mark Stone stood at the central table, looking at a holographic map of the solar system. Project Mirror is now in full swing, he announced to the gathered leaders. We've already started moving equipment to the dark side of Europa. General Ross nodded approvingly. What about the Mars base? Construction begins tomorrow. We're using the old mining tunnels as cover. From space, it'll look like normal resource extraction. Ambassador Walker entered the room, followed by Dr. Miller. They both carried tablets filled with the latest progress reports. The ambassador looked tired but determined. The council's collection ship will arrive in 2 weeks, Walker said, bringing up an image of a massive alien vessel. We need to be ready before then. Dr. Miller stepped forward. The fake tribute is almost prepared. We've created special minerals that will pass their scans but have no real value. My team worked day and night to get it right. And the fake technology? General Ross asked. Ready too. We built power regulators that look exactly like their models but don't have the blocking features. They'll think we're using their suppressed technology, while we actually continue our real research. Captain Stone pointed to several spots on the holographic map. We've hidden our real mining operations here, and here. Underground facilities masked by natural rock formations. The council's scans can't penetrate that deep. What about the space elevator construction? Walker asked. We can't hide something that big. We don't need to, Stone replied with a slight smile. We're building it exactly where they can see it. But they don't know about the secret facilities inside its support structures. They'll think it's just a simple transport system. Dr. Miller brought up new diagrams on the main screen. The quantum shield research is progressing faster than expected. Having our best scientists working in secret, away from the council's watching eyes, has been incredibly productive. And the backup plan? General Ross asked quietly. Walker nodded gravely. In place. If they discover our deception, we can evacuate our key research teams to the Europa base within 6 hours. The Mars facility will be ready as a second fallback position. A young officer rushed into the room, holding a new report. Sir, we just got word from our deep space probes. We're not the only ones. Everyone turned to look at him. Explain, Walker ordered. We've detected hidden bases on moons and asteroids throughout Council space. Other species, they're all doing the same thing we are. Hiding. Preparing. They've been resisting in secret for years. A murmur of excitement spread through the room. Walker raised his hand for silence. This changes things, he said thoughtfully. We're not just planning for our own survival now. We could be the spark that others need. A rebellion? Stone asked. More like a revolution, Ross corrected. But first, we need to succeed with our own plan. Dr. Miller brought up a timer on the main screen. 2 weeks until the collection ship arrives. Every minute counts. Walker looked around the room at humanity's best and brightest. They had come so far since first reaching the stars, and they weren't about to stop now. Then let's make them count, he said firmly. Captain Stone, continue the base construction. Dr. Miller, perfect those fake tributes. General Ross, prepare our hidden forces. If we pull this off, we won't just be saving Earth. We might be freeing the galaxy. As the meeting ended and people rushed to their tasks, Walker stayed behind, looking at the holographic map. Somewhere up there, the council waited, confident in their system of control. They had no idea that their carefully built house of cards was about to face its greatest challenge. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy that sometimes the best way to break chains was to pretend to wear them, until the perfect moment to strike. The council collection ship was massive. It hung in Earth's orbit like a dark silver cloud, its surface shifting with strange patterns of light. On the observation deck of Earth's space station, Ambassador Walker watched it approach, his heart beating faster despite his calm expression. "Collection team requesting permission to dock," the station's AI announced. Walker straightened his tie. "Permission granted." The docking bay doors opened slowly. Council Observer Blue stepped out, followed by 6 tall assistants. Their silver skin gleamed under the station's lights, and all their eyes, 4 per head, blinked in perfect unison. "Ambassador Walker," Blue said, his voice deep and melodious, "I trust you have prepared the tribute as required." Walker bowed slightly. "Of course. If you'll follow me, everything has been arranged in Cargo Bay 3. As they walked, Walker noticed Blue studying everything with careful attention. The Council Observer's upper eyes constantly moved, scanning their surroundings, while his lower eyes remained fixed ahead. They entered the cargo bay. Neat stacks of minerals filled one section, while rows of power regulators and other technology lined another. Dr. Miller stood beside the display, her face professional and calm despite the tension. "These are the minerals specified," Walker said, gesturing to the piles. "And here is the technology tribute, including all our quantum field manipulation research." Blue approached the mineral stacks first. He pulled out a scanning device and waved it over the carefully prepared fake materials. Walker held his breath, but the scanner showed exactly what they had planned. These looked exactly like the real minerals the Council had demanded. "Acceptable quality," Blue noted, making a mark on his datapad. He moved to the technology section, where Dr. Miller waited. "These power regulators," Blue said, picking one up. "You've already implemented them in your systems." "Yes," Miller answered smoothly. "We found them most efficient." The lie came easily because they had practiced it so many times. Blue's scanner hummed as it passed over the fake regulators. Walker watched the observer's eyes carefully. If they had made any mistakes, they would know in moments. "Everything appears to be in order," Blue finally said. "Though," he paused, his upper eyes narrowing slightly, "your compliance is unusually complete for a new species." Walker smiled diplomatically. "We understand the importance of cooperation. Earth wishes to be a productive member of the galactic community." Blue stared at him for a long moment. "Indeed." He turned to his assistants. "Begin loading the tribute." As the assistants worked, Blue walked around the cargo bay, studying everything with intense interest. He stopped at a window overlooking Earth. "Beautiful planet," he commented. "So much water, so many resources." His tone made it sound almost like a threat. "We're fortunate," Walker replied carefully. "Yes," Blue agreed. "And now you'll be even more fortunate, under Council protection. Though I must admit, we expected more." "Resistance." Miller stepped forward. "Why would we resist? The Council's guidance is clearly beneficial." She smiled, and if Walker hadn't known better, he would have believed her sincerity. The loading process took another hour. Walker and Miller maintained their friendly facade, answering questions and providing assistance. Behind their calm expressions, both were intensely aware that humanity's future depended on this deception working. Finally, Blue prepared to leave. "The Council accepts your tribute. We will return in 1 standard year for the next collection." "We look forward to it," Walker lied smoothly. As the Council ship departed, Walker and Miller watched from the observation deck. Only when the ship was a tiny dot in the distance did they relax slightly. "They bought it," Miller whispered. "For now," Walker cautioned. But Blue was suspicious. "We need to be even more careful going forward." Miller nodded. "The real work can begin now. Our hidden facilities are ready." Walker looked out at the stars. 1 year, he said quietly. 1 year to prepare for what comes next. Because sooner or later, they'll realize what we've done. And when they do, Walker smiled grimly, we'll be ready to show them exactly what humanity is capable of. The council chamber was in chaos. Junior Council Member Green stood at the center, his silver skin almost white with agitation as he presented his findings. "The humans deceived us," he declared, throwing data images into the air around him. "These scans don't lie. Their tribute minerals were fake, cleverly designed copies with no real value." High Counselor Gray's 4 eyes narrowed to slits. "Impossible. Our scanning technology is perfect." "They found a way around it," Green insisted. "And that's not all. Look at these energy readings from their solar system." New images appeared, showing strange patterns around Mars and Europa. The council members murmured in concern as they studied them. "Call their ambassador immediately," Gray commanded. Minutes later, Ambassador Walker's hologram appeared in the chamber. He looked calm, almost pleased. "You summoned me, High Counselor." "Explain these readings," Gray demanded, sending the data to Earth. "And explain the fake tribute." Walker smiled, and for the first time, the council saw steel in his expression. "I'll do better than that. I'll show you." The hologram expanded, and suddenly the council chamber was filled with images of massive human facilities on Mars and Europa. Research centers, shipyards, and quantum shield generators, all hidden in the council's sensor blind spots. "Impossible," Gray whispered. "No," Walker corrected. "Inevitable. Did you really think you could keep every species suppressed forever?" Dr. Miller appeared beside Walker in the hologram. "We didn't just avoid your suppression technology," she said. "We improved on it. Our quantum shields are beyond anything you have." To prove her point, she pressed a button. Suddenly, dozens of human ships appeared in the council's own space, having been there all along, hidden by advanced cloaking technology. "How dare you?" Gray stood, his dignity falling away to reveal rage. "You'll pay for this defiance." "No," Walker said firmly. "We won't, and neither will any other species you've been suppressing. You see, while you were focused on us, we made some friends." New holograms appeared, representatives from other council member species. All of them looked determined, and none showed the usual fear the council was used to seeing. "Your tribute system ends today," Walker announced. "We've shared our quantum shield technology with every species you've suppressed. They're breaking free of your control even as we speak." Green, who had discovered the deception, stepped forward. "High Counselor, he's right. I'm detecting quantum shield signatures throughout council space. Dozens of species. They're all revealing hidden facilities." Gray's rage turned to disbelief. "You've doomed us all. Without the tribute system, there will be chaos." "No," Walker corrected. "There will be progress, growth, cooperation. Everything you feared and tried to prevent. We're not here to destroy the council. We're here to change it." Dr. Miller activated another display, showing plans for a new type of faster-than-light drive. "This is our real tribute to the galaxy. Free knowledge, shared progress, a future where we all advance together." The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some members shouted in anger, but others looked thoughtful, even hopeful. "You can't possibly believe you'll succeed," Gray said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "We already have," Walker replied. "Look around you. Every species you suppressed is rising up, not with weapons, but with innovation, with hope. Your choice now is simple: adapt to the new reality, or step aside for those who will." As if to emphasize his point, more ships appeared around the council station, vessels from a dozen different species, all protected by human quantum shields, all demanding change. The age of tribute was over. The age of progress had begun. And humanity, the species that dared to trick the mighty council, had lit the spark that would transform the galaxy forever. High Counselor Gray stood in the council's main control room, watching as more and more ships appeared on the massive display screen. The council's own fleet hung in space, weapons ready, facing the combined forces of Earth and its allies. "Sir," a controller reported, "we're detecting quantum shield signatures from all the rebel ships. Our weapons won't be effective against them. Gray's fists clenched. Launch the attack anyway. We must make an example of them. The Council fleet moved forward, their weapons firing bright beams of energy at the human ships. But the quantum shields held firm, the attacks dissolving harmlessly against them. Captain Mark Stone stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, the Dawn. Around him, crews from a dozen different species worked together, coordinating their forces. The ship's quantum shields glowed softly as they absorbed another Council attack. Still no damage, his science officer reported. Their weapons can't touch us. Stone nodded and opened a channel to all ships. Remember our orders. Defensive positions only. We're here to end the tribute system, not start a war. On the Council station, Ambassador Walker's hologram appeared again, this time alongside representatives from 20 other species. Each of them had once paid tribute, and each now stood freely. This is your final warning, Walker announced. Stand down your fleet. Gray laughed bitterly. Or what? You'll destroy us? Prove that we were right to try to contain you primitive species. No, Walker replied calmly. We'll simply wait. Your power is already gone. Look around you. On dozens of worlds throughout Council space, hidden research centers and shipyards were revealing themselves. Species that had pretended to be suppressed for years were showing their true advancement. Dr. Miller's voice came over the channel. We've transmitted the quantum shield plans to every remaining suppressed world. Your tribute system is finished. In the Council chamber, more members were standing up, moving away from Gray's side. Green spoke first. High Counselor, we must accept reality. The old system is dead. Perhaps that's for the best. Traitors, Gray shouted. I'll order the fleet to fire on the station itself. Your codes have been revoked, Green replied firmly. The Council security forces no longer answer to you. Walker's hologram smiled slightly. As I said, we're not here to destroy the Council. We're here to change it. Your choice is simple. Step down and help build something better, or be remembered as the leader who forced us to remove you. On the Dawn's bridge, Stone watched as more Council ships powered down their weapons. Some were even turning to join the combined fleet. Sir, his communications officer called out, we're getting signals from all over Council space. More species revealing themselves. They're all asking to join the Alliance. Gray looked around the control room. His own staff were stepping back from their stations, watching him with all four eyes. Decades of power and control were slipping through his fingers. You don't understand, he said, his voice suddenly tired. The tribute system kept peace. Without it, there will be chaos. No, Walker corrected. The tribute system kept control. Peace comes from cooperation, from letting people grow and advance together. That's what we're offering. Green stepped forward. High Counselor Gray, by the authority of the Council members, you are relieved of duty. Please don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Gray looked at the display screen one last time. Where he had once seen tribute-paying slaves, he now saw a combined fleet of free species, all protected by human quantum shields, all ready to defend their new freedom. So this is how it ends, he said quietly. Centuries of order, undone by one clever species. No, Walker replied. This is how it begins, a new order built on trust and shared progress. The question is, will you be part of it? 1 year after the confrontation, the Great Hall of the new Galactic Alliance buzzed with activity. Where the old Council chamber had been dark and imposing, this room was bright and open. Representatives from over 50 species sat together, their voices mixing in excited discussion. Ambassador Walker stood at the central podium, looking out at the gathered delegates. Beside him, former Council member Green sat with other members of the Transition Committee. The changes of the past year had transformed the galaxy more than anyone had expected. The final votes are in, Walker announced, his voice carrying across the hall. The new charter has been approved by all member species. Cheers erupted from the gathered representatives. On the massive screens around the hall, Similar celebrations broke out on worlds across the galaxy. Species that had once lived in fear of tribute collections were now celebrating their freedom. Dr. Miller, now head of the Alliance Science Council, stepped up to the podium. "Our first joint research project is already showing results," she said, bringing up a hologram of a new ship design. "By combining technologies from 12 different species, we've created a drive system that's 50 times faster than anything the old council had." Captain Stone, watching from his position near the door, smiled as he remembered the tense confrontation of a year ago. The quantum shields that had protected their fleet that day were now considered basic technology, freely shared among all Alliance members. "And what of the tribute worlds?" asked a delegate from a newly joined species. "All freed," Green answered, standing up. "The last collection ship was converted into a research vessel last week. The age of tribute is officially over." The screen showed images from across the galaxy, former tribute worlds now hosting universities, research centers, and shipyards. Species that had been trapped at low technology levels for centuries were advancing rapidly, sharing their discoveries with all. "There were those who said this couldn't work," Walker continued. "They said that without the tribute system, there would be chaos. Instead, we've seen the opposite. When species work together, share knowledge, and help each other grow, everyone benefits." He gestured to a group of former council members, including Gray, who sat quietly in the back. "Even those who once opposed us have seen the truth. Progress comes not from control, but from cooperation." Dr. Miller activated another display, showing the location of the new Alliance Academy. Starting next month, students from all member species will study together, sharing their unique perspectives and knowledge. This is just the beginning. The hall erupted in applause again. Walker waited for it to quiet before making his final announcement. "And now, the moment many have been waiting for. The first joint exploration fleet is ready for launch. Crews from 20 different species will journey beyond known space, not to conquer or collect tribute, but to learn and discover together." On cue, the screens showed the new fleet. Ships of various designs, all built with shared technology, all crewed by mixed species teams. At their head was the flagship Unity, its quantum shields glowing softly as it prepared for its first mission. "Humanity may have sparked this change," Walker said, looking around the hall, "but every species here made it possible. We've proven that the galaxy is big enough for all of us to grow, to advance, to reach for the stars together." As the celebration continued, Stone moved to stand next to Walker. "Did you ever think, when we were planning our fake tribute, that it would lead to this?" Walker smiled, watching the happy faces of a dozen different species around them. "No," he admitted. "I just knew we had to resist. But this." He gestured to the hall, to the screens showing celebrations across the galaxy. "This is better than anything we could have planned." "And what comes next?" Stone asked. "Next." Walker looked up at the stars visible through the hall's clear dome. "Next, we explore, we learn, we grow, together. After all, that's what humanity does best. We don't just break free of cages, we help others break free too. And now we have a whole galaxy of friends to explore with." The stars seemed to shine brighter that day, as if they too were celebrating the dawn of a new age. An age of freedom, cooperation, and endless possibility.